my first website sucked. So in this video I'm going to talk about what sucked, what it was supposed to be, and what the issues were with it, and then I'm going to talk about what my next project is. Before we get into it, I'm going to drink some coffee in front of you right now. This is mainly so that you get the idea that I really like coffee, and that eventually down the line I can sell some coffee to you. So let's see what it looks like and what it was supposed to be and all that stuff. So you can still come to questioning.app, but I will be taking it down soon when I get around to it, because it's costing me about $5 a month. So if we log in, so what it was supposed to be, so the cause was supposed to be quite noble. I was quite proud of it, and I'm still quite proud of the website in general, because it was the first website I sort of built. And the idea really was this, let me get up a statement, let me see, what did I write? Better questions get better results. I wanted to build a platform where people could find better questions and ask themselves those questions on a more regular basis. But yeah, so the course was quite noble. I really think it was just about getting people to ask better questions and to kind of have the best way to find the right questions, and it was supposed to sort of go backwards. So rather than asking a question in Google, it was sort of kind of, there's this thing you want to do, for example, release YouTube videos, and then you would have this set of questions that you would ask yourself to release better videos. That was the idea. And here we've got like some Y Combinator problem questions. I even added this question mode, which I thought was really cool. And we can sort of just go next, or we can just do a random one. We've got this little explore problem, which is where we kind of encounter our first problem. Problem is, the idea is really a bit idealistic, and we can't really control what people do, right? It's input, it's human input, and anyone can just come and make a account, and they can just do this. And you know, there's nothing really I can do about that except for maybe use an AI to determine something's a question or not, but really I don't know how to do that yet. So that's kind of our first problem. Like, I like the idea, but sort of getting people to interact in a forced way is impossible. It's marketing, it's culture, you know? There's nothing to stop anyone from inputting any piece of information at all. Even if they put something semi-coherent, it would just have to be filtered out. And so that was kind of the first real challenge. What I've essentially created is this sort of searchable to-do list, right? Because if you think about it, if you get rid of the question marks, you could think of these as to-do list items. And there is like an edit mode, so you can delete things. And then of course you could search if they're made public. When you create a new board, you can make it public, blah, blah, blah. So essentially what I created was a searchable, shareable to-do list type thing. So to sum that up briefly, the first issue is that we relied on user input, which is unreliable. So the second issue is this, and this is where I actually think I learned something. But it's essentially that I built a responsibility and not a product. I still actually believe in this sort of website somewhat. You could argue it's a little bit similar to Quora, but I'd argue it's not, because it's not really about the answer, it's about the question. But what I learned, I think, in this process was that you can kind of build two types of things. You can build something like this, Questionly, which I still think could work, but it requires a tremendous amount of work. You're essentially building a company, you'd constantly need to keep developing it, and there's different things you could do. You could, you know, the fact that you have these question modes, you could add quizzes, you could do stuff for schools, there's so many ways you can kind of, directions you can go, but all of it requires a ton of work, and it requires user input, and you really need a whole team of people. And it's a responsibility, and I wasn't passionate enough to actually continue with this. And what you want to do as a solo entrepreneur, or more like me, a solo entrepreneur, you want to build something that solves a specific problem and is essentially just a product, something that exists, it solves a problem, people pay you because that problem is valuable to them, for you to solve that problem, and that's what you want to build. So this is the wrong approach. I'm building a platform, and the other thing with it is there's no inherent way to monetize it. You could do adverts, or I think you could have certain features which people would pay for, but I don't know why they would, in this modern age, being realistic, what's there to pay for really? We're not solving a specific problem. So we actually spoke about two issues there. The first one being, I built a responsibility, not a product that solves a problem. And the second one was monetization. I hadn't really thought about monetization. I just kind of thought I would add more features and eventually do a subscription type model or something like that. But I never did that. and I just realized that it was just the user input thing really bothered me. It's like you couldn't control what people do. You weren't really solving a easy to define problem, and I don't think there was quite the chicken and the egg problem. I think it had an inherent value in the sense that you could create lists, which is what I was thinking in my head. You know, the numbers would just grow naturally, but people are lazy. Man, I'm lazy. You know, we can't be bothered to do things. The actual idea of having to go onto this website and create your own list, it's just, people are just past that, it seems sometimes. So there were a number of flaws with it. I've actually got more flaws. What have I written down? There was another thing that really bothered me. I actually can't show you. So I had about 15 people sign up, or maybe like maybe 15 to 20. I haven't actually checked this morning, but the way I actually implemented you can see here I've got questionablyuser@gmail.com, and that email doesn't even exist. So that's a really big flaw. I realized that people were signing up with just whatever. I mean, it was still email addresses, but they were fake email addresses. So really, if you're going to have email addresses, if you actually care about the email addresses, you need to do some sort of verification. On my next project, I'm doing Google sign-in, which means Google take care of all of that. I'm also going to do normal sign-in as well, so I'll probably need to do some form of verification. And it didn't really matter too much in this particular case because, I mean, the email is being more used as a username. You have to have a username in Django to be able to sign up. But I thought I wanted to create the least amount of resistance, so I'll just do an email and a password, boom, you're in. But it actually ended up just being people just signing up with obviously fake emails. Not everyone. I'll probably say 20-30% were fake emails, because I guess most people wouldn't even try to use a fake email. But so that was kind of a flaw in the architecture, and I guess you only learn those things sometimes by being dumb in the first place. So you can get a sort of last look in here. I'll probably take it down in the next month or so. So my first website was kind of neat, but at the end of the day it was coming out of my own pocket. If you start getting more traffic, then you have to upgrade your server, you have to pay more. So I'll be taking it down as I don't want to really monetize it, and I don't think it's solving anyone's problem inherently. I think it could. I think asking better questions is still something I really believe in, but maybe this is the wrong approach. I used it for myself for a bit, but even after a while I stopped using it. I've got multiple accounts, and it's just the user input. I think people, you know, I think I just actually, it's nicer to have a little book sometimes than having something be a web app or something. But yeah, we learned a bunch of stuff, so that's cool. If you're still here, then I really appreciate you, and as promised, I'm going to be talking about two things I'm somewhat working on. One of them I'm definitely working on, the other one is sort of a background task, but I'm really excited for both. So if you're already a subscriber, or you've watched some of my other videos by chance, you may know I'm building a YouTube idea generator. I'm actually really excited about this. It's coming along nicely. The one thing, I've kind of taken a pause because the one thing I'm struggling with is Google sign-in, which is really important to me. I want that working so people can just sign in with one button and I won't have to deal with them like losing their passwords, blah blah blah. It's going to be cool. So essentially allow you to like synchronize a channel, so you can sync the channel and then you can generate videos from them. So it's kind of like acting as inspiration, but you can do that from multiple channels, and the idea is you can generate like 1, 2, 3 or 4 videos, and you can use those videos to inspire you for your next video. And we know that content isn't all like original, so the idea isn't really to steal content, but like you know, if you type something into YouTube, you're going to get a billion videos come up. Like, content isn't necessarily unique, it's the creator in a sense that's unique, and their take on that topic or their take on that title or whatever. So that's the first one. The second one I've not talked about, but I think is awesome. The closest, I don't know quite how it works because I've never used it. I know Patreon exists, but the simple idea really is that it's more of a one-off kind of use case, but we've got all these tools for creators like YouTube to reach their fans, but what we don't have is a way for fans to interact directly with their creators. My idea, and what I'm working on and I'm super excited for, is basically, let's say, I don't know, you want to share a meme or a video or a GIF or something with KSI. How do you do that? And the answer to that is going to be my platform. I don't want to talk about the details and specifics of how I'm going to be doing that, but I've got something that I think is pretty cool, and yeah, and it's going to, I kind of want there to be actions and responses, so you kind of, you know, you share something with the creator and you get something back in return. But yeah, so those are my two ideas. I'm excited for both. I have been burnt out recently, I won't lie, but that's fine, that's life. We'll continue. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like or subscribe, and bye.